This is P3 electricity test revision. The title is Static and Charge. We know this happens through friction, through rubbing things. On the left side, we have, I put an example, we have a cloth and a rod. The cloth, just as an example, has 6 pluses and 6 minuses, and the rod has 5 pluses and 5 minuses. Remember, the pluses are the protons, the minus are the electrons, and normally every single day, like in everyday life, they are always neutral. Now, when rubbing and friction happens, they will become charged. For example, I have put 2 examples here. In one instant, we are rubbing the cloth with a rod, and then the electrons move from the rod to the cloth. As you can see there, if we follow the arrows, the negative charges, the electrons are moving from the rod to the cloth. So 3 of them, 3 negative charges moved. That means if initially the rod had 5 positive and 5 negative, because 3 left, 3 electrons moved, the rod will be left with 2 negatives, and we see there is an overall positive charge for the rod. It has more pluses than minuses. The cloth initially had 6 pluses and 6 minuses, but these 3 electrons moved from the rod to the cloth. That makes the cloth have become 6 plus and 9 minus. That makes the rod become negatively charged. In another instant, we use a different cloth and a different rod. In this situation, when we're rubbing them together, the electrons will move from the cloth to the rod, which will make the cloth become positive, because the cloth is losing the electrons moving to the rod, and the rod is gaining the electrons. That makes the rod become negative. We're looking at the 5 plus is smaller than 8 minus, so that means we have more minuses than pluses, and for the cloth we have more pluses than minuses. Apologies for the way the scanning was done. Now if we move forward, for example, let's say we have a balloon who is positively charged. That means it has some electrons that left, which left an overall positive charge, and we're going to move that balloon close to a wall. The wall is already neutral. That means it has the same number of minuses as pluses. Here we have 2, 4, 6 minuses and 7 minuses and 7 pluses. I just put them as an example. Now, as the balloon moves towards the wall, the negative charges will be drawn from the wall, will be drawn towards the balloon, which makes the balloon being attracted to the wall. Now, if we move forward, any object that is charged negatively or positively will have an electric field, a field of force built around it. And then if we remember the experiment on with the Van der Graaf, we could feel that field of force around the Van der Graaf generator. Now, if there is a negative and a positively charged object, they move together closer one to another, they attract. And as you can see, we have these field lines that we just represent them as lines with arrows on them. Now the positive has the arrows going away from it, and the negative has the arrows always coming towards it. That means the positive field lines go away from the positive charge and go into the negative charge. That means they attract each other. So into the negative ones get the arrows towards, into them, and the positive charge get the arrows away from them. Okay, if we have 2 positive and or 2 negative charges brought closer one to another, we see that the positive and positive will repel each other, and these field lines will not meet anymore. They will be pushed away one from another. The same with the negative and the negative repel, so the field lines, they're pushing away. Now we see the direction, the arrows point in different ways, but that has nothing to do with the fact that they repel each other. Okay, now if we have an electric field, if there are more lines drawn around that charged object, it means the electric field will be stronger. If there are less lines drawn around that object, it means the electric field will be weaker. Thank you.